The Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. Chad Hyams and guest Kyle Schores explore leveraging Brivity's features to optimize real estate business strategies. Kyle is the director of Brivity Enablement for Place, where he focuses on maximizing agents' results through technology. Listen as they explore the importance of conducting audits, avoiding premature lead trashing, and the potential revenue hidden within overlooked database contacts. Gain insights into best practices for auditing CRM systems to identify missed opportunities and enhance client engagement, ultimately boosting sales efficiency and productivity. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast presented by Brivity.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Hyams here with Brivity's Do This. Boy, we're pushy with that title, aren't we? Yeah, do this because it works. That's why we call it that, and that's why we are focused on that. I'm flying solo-ish today. No Bob Stewart. He's been pulled away to something else, yet that just means, and you know it, more opportunity for Bob not to interfere with an amazing interview that I've got coming ahead of us as we talk about it. Now, we love Bob. Nobody knows Brivity like Bob. Yet sometimes I ask those questions and I'm like, Bob, I want to go this way. So today I get to do that. And today we are bringing to join us Kyle Schores. Kyle, welcome to Do This.
Thank you so much, Chad. Glad to be here.
Kyle, I know you. It's been a while, as we were talking before, since you and I have necessarily had this chance yet. Not everybody who's watching this right now or on a replay, you can get these on replay. Anybody, they might not all know you. So give them the who is Kyle, where is Kyle, why is Kyle, and let's go from there first.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Kyle Schores. I'm here in gloomy Bellingham at our corporate office for Place. I am our director of all of our Place and Brivity enablement. So my whole everyday, my job is finding opportunities and directing and getting our agents more results out of our technology.
And we're done. Right. This is why when people ask me, Kyle, they say to me, Chad, what's the best CRM to use? It takes me about 0.03 seconds to respond and say Brivity. Now, they'll always say to me, why would you say that? I know you know Ben Kinney. So you're probably just saying that because you're friends with Ben. No, it's because Brivity, to my knowledge, is the only CRM in the industry actually built by and being used by the person who built it. And then what does he do? He goes and he adds people like you, Kyle, who are going to get more and more and more out of it because his team sits there and says, boy, I wish it could do this, that you guys then go and create it. So it's truly adapting to the market of today and the agent of today.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally everything we've built inside of Brivity is because of the feedback our teams and agents that live in it every day give us.
How long would it take you? I know where you are. How long would it take you to get up from your desk and walk over to an active real estate agent's desk right now using Brivity?
If I took the elevator, about 45 seconds. If I took the stairs, about 30 seconds.
There you go. Okay. So folks, I want you to understand, for those of you who don't get it, that's how close these guys are to the agents, that yes, the agents will just come walking in and saying, hey, make it do this, right? Or here's a bug I found. Or Kyle will go over to an agent and say, did you realize you just missed this opportunity? Like I'm literally watching.
Yeah.
You did not set up this auto plan right there. You just hung up the phone. What's wrong with you, right? That's how Brivity is built. That's how Brivity works. And you, wherever you are in the country, get the benefit of it. So Kyle, we on this conversation are you often talking to actual agents who are using Brivity at a high level and saying, you know, what's been different in your business over the last 12 months? Let me ask you, what's one of the things you've seen top teams do over the last 12 months with Brivity to grow in their business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spend more time in a CRM than I think almost any real estate agent. So I get a lot of perspective of seeing across lots of different top teams across the country, starting with our team here in Bellingham. The biggest thing teams are really leaning into now is a really basic one, and it's inspecting what you expect. It's going back through the database and examining what happened, when it happened, why it happened, and who was responsible.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we spend a lot of energy and focus on saying the right thing to the right people at the right time, which is super important. And we spend a lot of our effort and focus about distributing leads and making sure agents are enabled with the right scripts and resources and tools to execute on that. But the other side of it is all that effort and time we spend on that front end of creating that engagement can get lost if we're not inspecting to make sure that the follow-up is really what we expect, because we all know the real value of all of these activities is in the follow-up.
I love that you started that sentence, and audience, you might not appreciate this as much as you should. You've got a guy who's working in the CRM looking for opportunities. And what did he just say in that last sentence? He said Ben Kinney's success principles, right? Say the right thing, say it enough times, have enough people to say it to. That's it. You want success. Ben has always boiled it down to, here are the success principles of real estate. And you worked it right into a sentence there. So we're going to assume, I know what happens when we assume, we're going to assume, audience, that you're saying the right thing. You're saying it enough times, and you're saying it to enough, you have enough people to say it to, and we're going to step on from there. So this inspect what I expect for a follow-up system. You think people should be doing a regular audit on everything that's going on in their Brivity to make sure they're inspecting what they expect, Kyle?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are doing that when they're thinking about listening to their call recordings, looking at those paid lead sources to determine ROI. I'm really thinking about the messier side of dumping out that trash can and seeing if anybody put recycling in there. Did we put the right things in the right places? I think a lot of times when we have a large team, a large volume of leads, we're looking at those things we can see, but it's the hidden things. And I'm really thinking about when we're looking in Brivity, and that's our inactive, archived, and our trash statuses. And that's really inspecting what are definitions for the people that we're saying I never want to hear or see from again, but we brought them in our database at some point.
Yeah, should we trash people? Like, should anybody ever really be trash?
I have strong feelings around trash, and trash for me is Donald Ducks with a fake email and a fake phone, and there's no way to know anything about them. That's basically it for me.
So if I gave you my name, or I gave you an email that's not bouncing back into the system,
or an address,
you should never trash me. What happens when I send you the email that says, take me out of your dang system, right? And it's all cap letters and it's all exclamation points and all that stuff. Do you just ignore that email? Do you trash then?
That's a good question. Those people, I mean, first of all, I apologize. If it's on the phone, if it's over text, I'm sorry. Great, take you off my list. That's the first thing. Be gracious about it. Then I'm going to put them into an archive status. Archive status is really where I want to house those people of, I don't want to talk to them, but they are real people and real information.
Okay. And what do you do with them then?
Yeah. So once they're in an active, archived, and trash, I'm not going to see them when I'm going through my day in the life, when I'm working through my Brivity top 10. They're not showing up there. But what I really like to get into, and if I can share my screen, I'll show you, when we start to inspect that inactive, archived, and trash bin, we'll start to see maybe we didn't have clear expectations or clear standards about who and when we're putting into those buckets.
Okay, keep talking about this. And if you want to share your screen, feel free. Do I have to click something on my end?
No, you're good.
So, all right.
So this is an example of what I think about. This is usually when a team comes to me, and my favorite thing is they're like, we're doing everything perfectly. It's like, I bet we can find some opportunities that exist in there.
Has anybody actually said that to you?
All the time. I think I'm doing great. Stump the chump. I don't think you're going to find anything. It's like, great question. So I'm going to go and open up your archived bin. If you have 13,000 people in an archived bin versus a database of 26,000, that's the first red flag. That's a lot of people in the trash. What I like to start to do here is, all these people are in active trash. Lots of them are in that trash. I like to scroll over and sort by a really simple one. Is anybody that I said was trash? Totally invalid contact. No way to get hold of them. How many of these have been back on our website in the last 30 days?
Yeah, I'm looking right there, and I'm like, wait, these say 7, 7, 7, 9. That means like these people within the last 2 weeks, you got at least 15 people who are still showing up, even though you put them in trash.
And then we start to dig into them, and it's like, well, maybe there's a good reason for some of these. So we go in and we start to look, and somebody got put into the trash. We left a voicemail with them yet, and then this is the inspecting. Looks like we've made a couple call attempts. We've left voicemails with them. Never got a hold of them. And then we might have gotten frustrated and said, they're never going to answer me. I'm going to throw them in the trash. But guess what? This person, real email, real phone, real name. They came in from an open house. So we met them. We talked to them. They're a real person. They continue to show back up on the website, but we didn't want to work them anymore and we threw them in the trash. So this is one we're never going to see this opportunity again, even though we did a lot of the hard work on the front end to bring them into our world.
Okay, audience, how many of you, after you attempt to contact someone once, maybe twice, and you probably never, after 3, you just say, forget it, trash. I'm done. They're not answering. And what Kyle's showing you right here is stop doing that, because they are still coming to the website, right? They are still visiting, which means you should not have them here, because they should be getting just at least the email drips, the market updates, whatever it else is that you're sending out, because just because they don't want to talk to you doesn't mean they're not using you as a resource.
And another great opportunity to put them back in the pond, give them to somebody else. They might not like me, and that's okay. They don't want to take my call. Let someone else on the team take a crack at it, as opposed to just squirreling them away where no one else is going to find them.
I love that. Okay. Is there ever, like, I've been after this person for, I don't know, 6 months. Every week, if I'm looking at the notes, I've literally every week for 6 months attempted to call them. They are still visiting the site, though. Would you delete them and make them have to sign back in? Would you trash them then? Or would you just say, I'm still not putting them in trash, even though they're not answering, because one day they will?
My general rule for that is if I make 20 call attempts on them and I never get a hold of them, that's when I throw them back into a pond to give them a fresh chance at somebody else. I'm never going to put them in the trash when it's real and I know they're valid and they're just not answering me. Again, if it's a me problem, that's great. That's the opportunity to put them in the pond instead of the trash.
So the only one Kyle's trashing is Donald Duck, right? Mickey Mouse, Homer Simpson. When these people keep coming to your website and giving you bad emails and have vulgarities in their email address and the phone number is 555-555-555.
Yeah.
Get rid of those people. You can trash them. Everybody else, instead of trashing, just put back in the pond and let someone else have an opportunity, because the person's still there.
Yeah. And again, that's where we're going back and inspecting it. When I see, hundreds of people who have been back on the site, great, this is that opportunity to pull them out of the trash, put them in a pond, and then treat them like a fresh lead for somebody else who's never had an attempt on them.
I love that. That's awesome stuff you're sharing right there with that. Okay, so trash isn't trash, folks, unless it's truly trash. Trash is just another way of they're saying not now, and you're taking the easy way out and just saying, oh, well, then I'm just going to get rid of them and put them in trash, instead of dripping on them for 6 years. And then they think I've been talking to them every day because they finally reach out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with having thousands of leads in that unqualified status, because that unqualified status doesn't mean they're not able to transact. It just means we've never had a qualifying conversation. So that's where when someone has 10,000 people on unqualified, that's great. I'd much rather see that than 1,000 people in the trash.
Okay. Pond, not trash. If you're thinking about trashing them, give them back to someone else in your team, your organization. Hell, refer them to someone else if you're a solo agent using Brivity. Whatever you need to do, don't trash them unless they're clearly lying to you just to get into the system and you could never get a hold of them.
Someone else asked a good question in the chat there that was another point I want to talk about exactly that. We spend a lot of time with our top 10 and our day in the life really focusing on what we call our recently actives, people that are back on the site, people that are raising their hands, people that are showing up and clicking on properties multiple times. These are the ones we're always really excited about. There's the other side of that. When you have thousands and thousands of people on listing alerts, which is how we drive people back to the site, we know about 15 to 20% of those people are going to engage at any given point and show back up. That means 80% of those people are just getting that email, not opening it. There's a great time and way to inspect and review that is to go back and filter for those people that do have listing alerts, but don't have website visits. This can be a great opportunity to see, well, they've had a listing alert and they haven't been on the website ever. Great. This is that time to go and flip that script of, instead of just talking to those people that I know are engaged, is look at all these people that are on listing alerts and we've never actually got them to engage with it.
I can't see the number. How many? You don't have to make it bigger. How many does it say?
846 people.
out of 26,000 or so, right, that I see of all people, you've got 800 of them that are on alerts, yet have never come to the site.
Sorry, that was just in the trash. That's even scarier number.
Oh,
13,000 people on a listing alert that have never
Okay.
shown up on the site.
So half their database
Which
is
is normal.
set up on listing alerts, yet just has never shown up on the site, which means either it's going into spam, either it means they've set it up to just auto delete your email when it comes in, or they're just ignoring your email at this point. Yet, what would you do with these people?
My number one, call them and work LP Mama. I want to get them on a better listing alert. If what I'm sending you is not engaging you, that means I'm not sending you the right thing. So my first thought is, as I'm working through these, it's, hey, Sarah, we've been sending you a listing alert for 3 years in some cases. I wanted to make sure I'm sending you the right things. Location, price, motivation. I'm going to work through that. I'm going to edit their listing alert to start resending, because when I do that, it can start to show back up at the top of their inbox.
Okay. So we're going to pick up the phone, and right now you've just found 13,000 people worth dialing when they say, I don't have enough people to call. I only have 7 that I keep calling. No, you've got 13,000 right here that you should be calling to attempt to re-engage, because they're on a listing alert for some reason. You put them on it at some point. They've just never bothered to click and show up on the website. So it's on you to pick up the phone, call, text, email, door knock, whatever it's going to be. These are the 13,000 people to engage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Claudio, hope that helps with, people who aren't visiting the site and what you should be doing in that. Okay. So you've talked about, the trash and how trash is horrible. You've talked about this opportunity for people we're doing an audit, folks. Take notes, right? First thing, go audit my trash. Should those people really be in there? Should I pull them back to just unqualified and start calling them again? Should I put them in a pond, whatever that is? 2, who do I have on listing alerts that has never visited my site? Great, I've done an audit. This person, we won't say whose this is, this person has 13,000. They're running around bragging to people they have 26,000 people in their database. I guarantee you, whoever this is saying, I got 26,000 names in my database. Great, 13,000 of them have never visited your website, which means they're at this moment bogus names, really. Your job now is to go, believe me, if they're getting your other stuff and there's interest, at some point they're visiting your website. So that would be number 2. What else would be part of this audit you would do, Kyle, to help people clean up all the missed opportunities they have?
Yeah, my last biggest one is, again, why is Brivity great? Because it gives us the filters to find these things. Like I said, we really love to focus and see all those things on here that are giving us that opportunity that we see when people are engaging. But again, the fortune is in the follow-up. So a lot of times we'll be filtering and showing on those people that are on the website. We love to see people that have been on the website in the last 30 days. Again, that's one of our core ideas. When do they show up? How do we show up? We match those 2 things up. But a lot of people are starting and ending with a single call attempt, just like we saw, and they get moved into trash. But a lot of times we'll be comparing this to who has not received a phone call. Who's been on the website in the last 30 days that has not received a phone call in the last 30 days. Core functionality that I like to look at inside of the system.
None. Please be none.
This is actually a great team. They do a great job. I'm not trying to pick on them. They're really excellent at this.
And we're not telling anybody who these are. So these are people that have been on the website in the last 30 days, yet have not received a call in the last 30 days.
But there will almost always be more people, because the mere nature of dialing, 80% of our initial dials don't get answered. The really big one is to go back and look at those people that did receive a call, because I can sort by the outcome. Every call I make, I have to set an outcome. So I always go back and look at it the second way. Yes, I really care about the ones that have not received any call attempt, but the ones where there's probably more opportunity are the ones that I did call and they didn't answer.
And folks, this is why you make the calls through Brivity. Because if you're calling them just from your cell phone on the side, not using the Brivity app, or calling them through the system, you're not necessarily being required to put a follow-up. So what's happening is you're making that phone call, you're talking to Kyle, yet you're not remembering to go back into Brivity and say, yes, I called Kyle and here's, what happened. We talked, he answered, he didn't answer, whatever it is. you're not being forced to put that information in, which means when you run the filter Kyle just ran, no one's coming up because you're not doing the data on your own.
And when I log the call and make it through here, then I get that instead of creating, this is my perfect example, instead of creating a follow-up task for somebody that's been on the website and I called them 10 days ago, I'm not going to wait 20 more days until they've aged out of that 30-day communication because they might have bought a house in the meantime. I'm keeping them on this follow-up list to see 300 more people that we're making call attempts on. We know what they're doing and we want to talk to them about it, but we haven't had the actual conversation that drives all of this. Because I can't.
So we've dialed these people. We just haven't spoken to these people, yet they've been on the site within 30 days. And within those same 30, we have dialed them, just didn't get through. Again, if you're using your cell phone and dialing them, Brivity doesn't know that you went and dialed them and they didn't answer. Doesn't know you left a voicemail that folks they're never going to listen to. Doesn't know, right? Don't leave voicemails that don't create urgency, okay? Those are the only ones you call back. You've got to dial through the Brivity app or through getting onto the computer, logging in and using the dialer that's there for you. Otherwise, you would probably never have found these, what'd you say, 300?
300, yeah.
Okay, so what do I do now with these 300 that I'm going to find? Because everybody watching this should be doing this right now and going, okay, I'm filtering, been on the site within 30 days, has received a call within 30 days, with all the different statuses as I saw you pick of what your choices could be other than talk to them, set follow-up plan.
Yep.
Right? What are we doing to these 300 people now, Kyle?
These are my easy list. Again, I'm going to re-engage with them. I didn't need to set a task on them. I didn't need to try and remember all their names because I'm never going to. I'm going to just go back through and treat them like they never got my first call. That's that same thing of, I know 80% of my dials in a good world go unanswered on the first dial, not because they don't want to talk to me, just because it wasn't the right time. And that's where I even go deeper. I always like to look at what other information can people give me to make those call attempts better. Well, I'm going to look at what they looked at. If they're on the site 4 days ago, that's great. And they're looking at an average of $1 million properties. That's awesome. What I really want to do with that, again, go back here. When I go and look at what they looked at and when, this is that next piece. If I made my dials because I do my prospecting at 8:30 in the morning, that's great. I bet if I tried this guy at 8:30 in the morning, he's never going to answer because look at all these views.
Looks like he's looking at like 10:30 if I'm
10, 11 a.m., 12:45, 12:45, 12:50.
Okay, call him at lunch, folks.
This is somebody, and that's when people say, like, I made call attempts and I had 7 calls. Like, they only look at 10 p.m. at night because they work the night shift. They're never going to answer the phone.
Right. That does not mean you have to stay up and make calls at 10 o'clock at night. Yet, if they're looking over the lunch break, realize that's what they're doing on their lunch break. That's the time to call them, right? Pay attention to that stuff. If they're looking at 10 o'clock at night, doesn't mean you have to stay up till 10. Yet, what if one day a week or one day a month at least, you did calls from 7 till 8 in the evening and you called that person at that time? They might not be looking at sites yet they're probably off work. They just haven't gotten the opportunity to pull the laptop or the iPad up while they're laying in bed and look for houses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always the story they're telling us because people always say, well, buyers are liars. They're never going to tell me what they really want. It's like, I don't believe that. I think people tell me what they really want with their behavior. And if they go and look at things, that's what they're telling me they're interested. If they said they were looking in 6 months and then they show back up 2 months later and look again, great. Their timeline changed, but they told me that and I was able to see it. They don't answer the phone. It's not that they're saying they don't want to talk to me. It's that they're telling me that's not when I'm available because they tell me when they're available, when I'm what they do.
Scroll down on this person just so I can see a little more. Okay, folks, I'm looking at this person. The lowest price home I think I saw is 700,000, right? It's like 689,997, I think is the lowest
That's the cheapest. Well, you can see at the top here, their price range. Vast majority are expensive.
So folks, they might not qualify. Maybe they're just dreaming. Who knows? Yet does that lead to a conversation? This person's looking, and believe me, in the area they're looking, that's not like a gigantic house at that price. They're not in, middle America. They're an expensive real estate area. But they understand that price and they're looking at it, which means this person's probably a $700,000 to $1.2 million buyer, depending what it is when you get them on the phone. Folks, if I dangle the $700,000 lead in front of you, wouldn't you work it until they told you to screw off? Yes. They're telling you that right here. Work me. I haven't told you to go away yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we found this just because we're looking at those people that, again, we're showing up, they're in the pond, we're making call attempts, but we're never converting at that time. Again, this is another one of those, I love seeing these weird examples. 4 a.m., 6 p.m. Like, this person's got a weird schedule. This is another one. They're never going to answer if I call them at noon. But they're all over the map with what they're looking at. Love to be able to narrow it down. And this gets back into that listing alert edits of, I'm using these conversations to work LP Mama, and I'm also trying to deliver value by making sure the search they're getting is the one they want.
And now you know this person, that's what the text message has to say, right? I'm sending this person a text saying, hey, insert first name, right? I'm sending them a text that I've got pre-written as an auto plan or whatever, even if it's only one step, says, I see you're looking at odd hours. Is there a best time of day for us to reach out to you? And you're all over the place with what you're looking at. I want to make it better for you. How do I adjust results that we send you? Right? Now you're setting up saying, I see your trauma. Let me solve the problem.
Yeah.
God. Okay. Audits, folks. That's what we're calling this one, right? And we're not the IRS here. We're Brivity audits. These are the kind of audits we like. Kyle, how often do I run an audit? How often do I step back, open that trash folder and see what made into it? Do I as an agent do it, or just the rainmaker saying, what are my agents up to? How often do we do these audits, and whom should be doing them?
Yeah, as an agent, I want to be going through at least once a week, no less than once a month, to go back and look through my trash to find those opportunities that are missed. As a rainmaker, and this gets into that biggest point of not just looking at, all leads in the trash, but even being more specific. If you're paying for leads and you're bringing them in, going and inspecting those at least once a week and going through, if I have a high value lead source and I'm paying to bring these people in, are they receiving the number of call attempts that we expect? Are they being moved through our process in the way that we expect? Are they receiving all the pieces that we can send with automation through Brivity in the way that we expect? It's a really good practice to start with, just thinking about those paid sources that if we're spending money on them, we want to make sure we're getting the most out of them and they're not being left or worked in a way that is less than we could be doing.
Yeah, if I'm a rainmaker watching this and I'm paying for any leads, any source of leads, how would you like to know that you spent $1,000 last month, generated X number of leads with that expense, and all the team members did was, I attempted them once, I put them in trash?
We've seen it a million times too, unfortunately. There's another great place you can always go and inspect that. And the really easy way is your lead source reporting. This can be a good place to start with it, to go look through in the last 30 days across all your users, across all your sources, and see what status they're ending up in. This is the ROI tracker. If I'm paying to bring in leads from a certain source and all of my open house leads go into the trash, well, why? That's not a very good source if 90% of them end up in the trash. Are we not using it correctly and we're moving them the trash incorrectly? Or is it not a good lead source because they're all junky leads that end up in the trash?
Oh, that's awesome. David Wiggs says in the chat, he said, these audits actually make you money, folks. Yeah, the IRS costs you money when you get audited. It's very rare they audit you and then send you a check.
Refund, no.
Right, yeah, that doesn't. Oh, yeah, you're right. We did mess up and owe you more money. No, they ignore you in that case. These audits will make you money because I guarantee, I'll put a guarantee on it. If you run these audits regularly and then you do what you need to do to re-engage these people the way Kyle was talking about today, you're losing minimum one transaction, minimum. There's
Guaranteed.
Money to be made if you run these audits. All right, I'm going to give you the last minute. What do you want them to hear again? What do you want them to hear you didn't mention? What do you want to tell them that's got maybe even nothing to do with this topic yet? Boy, they should hang on to the end because Kyle's always filled with gems. You got 1 minute, Kyle. Wrap the class.
Okay, my big takeaways are always going and dumping out your trash can to make sure and sort through it, filter through it, sift through, see is there anything that's valid and real. Maybe it's a training opportunity that it's in there. If you have an ISA, that's a perfect opportunity to go and inspecting number of dial attempts on each of those leads. And the biggest thing is when you give the system the data, it'll help support you. When you make your dials through Brivity, I get to use the call filter outcome. So when I make the dials through Brivity, it's not that it's easier and it tracks and it's from my Brivity number and I get their callbacks and they come back to my cell phone and it's tracked and logged in there against their activity. My big thing is I also get to see when I've made call attempts and when I get to follow up. I don't have to make tasks. I don't have to remember. I know that the call attempts and the outcomes I'm setting is setting me up for the future to know when to make the follow-ups.
Awesome. Folks, watch it again, right? Go back, start over, go in slow motion, act on everything Kyle has talked about. Because today there were the two of us and we were able to focus. Next week's Bob's back. And if I'm not mistaken, we have 2 guests. So there's going to become 4 of us next week, all fighting for the opportunity to help teach you. Today, it was all about what Kyle brought to you. Don't miss it, folks. Go audit your system today. Kyle, thanks for taking your time and helping people understand to do this.
Thank you, Chad.
You got it. We're out of here, folks. See you next time.